Hey all, Ellie here with a... Well, this is actually playing Magic and it's not a Walker's Quest episode. Uh, today's... I sort of wanted to talk about CCGs, collectible card games. Um, so there's going to be 4 collectible card games that you're probably going to watch over this that you're going to watch me play, and I want to talk about them, what I like about them, what I dislike about them, and why I think one is probably the best one out there. Now, Magic is, if you've been following my channel, Magic is my primary CCG. It's the one I play. But it's, in a way, it's also, I think, not the best CCG out there. And you're probably going to be saying, oh, okay, if it's not the best, then why do you play it? Well, it's an interesting conundrum. The reason I play it is not because mostly because I've actually got a huge investment in Magic. I started playing Magic back in high school, and I've been playing since about the Scourge block, bouncing in and out quite a bit. But the thing about Magic and what keeps drawing me to the game is that investment. That I've played it for so long, I know quite a lot of the backstory behind the game. I understand a lot of the mechanics very, very well, and as a result, that's why I keep coming back and playing it. Magic Duels, it's it's a relatively good game. It's actually, considering hear what I've heard about people saying about Magic Online, Magic Duels is extremely good. Magic's biggest problem, and my biggest criticism of it, is the idea that a lot of it is... one of the good things is that there's a lot of player interaction. You've got these instants and sorcery spells that we fire back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. But its biggest weakness, and my biggest criticism of it, is that interaction slows down a lot of the game. And as a result, it's not quite as fluid as it possibly can be. It's also not a huge advantage for new players to get into. They will find it very, very difficult to get into, and as a result, they may be put off by the game because of the high intensity in the mechanics. There's also a lot of cards to learn about. It's actually, and this is going to be my big criticism of Magic Duels, and I think would probably my biggest criticism with Hearthstone, way back when, is that they didn't allow... I don't think Hearthstone had necessarily anticipated the whole idea of, oh, we've only got... we have to scale the amount of cards so that new players can catch up, and Magic Duels is going to have to do that at some point. That is something they're going to have to figure out, is how to make it such that new players don't feel overwhelmed by the number of cards. And I was sort of expecting Origins to cycle out a while ago. And so I was expecting Origins to cycle out a while ago. And yeah, it's kind of interesting that Origins hasn't cycled out yet, that I'm still using Origins cards. So I mean, this is the thing, and I think pull you back. Oh, actually, no, that's fine. Sorry, I'm playing on top of this. So I think that's my biggest criticism of Magic Duels at the moment, is this delay on cycling out blocks. It's it's mechanically intensive for new players, and so a lot of people may be put off by this game. But for me, I spent a lot of money in the physical card formats. As a result, I have a lot of investment in this game. And I think that's always where it's going to come from for me, is that it is a case of I will always play this game because, or this is my CCG to go to, because it is my go-to. Yeah. The thing is that it is my go-to CCG. I have that investment into it, not monetary investment into Magic Duels directly, but into Magic the Gathering overall. I have an investment in that, and that's what I think is propelling me to continue to play the game. I find the game extremely fun as well. I actually enjoy it. We're just about to wrap this game up. I'll continue talking over another game, but this is the thing. This is that whole mentality of Magic the Gathering, and why I enjoy it. So I'm going to wrap up Magic the Gathering here, and we'll get on to the next game, and I think you'll be able to understand more about what I'm talking about when I think you'll understand a little bit more about what I'm talking about when you start to see the other games and what I'm getting at, where Magic's sort of failing. There is actually another thing I love about Magic, and that is that whole... So, Magic's huge advantage is that player interaction and the bait and switch, but it's mechanically heavy, and that is a huge put-off to new players. So those are my biggest... That's the biggest thing as to my criticisms to Magic. As I said, my investment in Magic from back when I was younger is why I keep playing this. So we're going to leave it there, and we'll talk about the next game in a sec. Okay, so this, if you haven't figured this one out by now, well, I don't know what rock you've been living under. So Hearthstone. There's another CCG out there. This is obviously extremely popular. To begin with, when I first came across Hearthstone, it was a case of I was put off by it because it wasn't Magic the Gathering. That was the big thing, is that it wasn't Magic the Gathering. And the biggest issue, and it sort of struck me, is that it didn't... I mean, one of its huge advantages is that it's very, very fast-paced game. Well, typically very fast-paced. Oh, look at that, we're going to... Yeah, but this deck is a little bit of a douchey deck. But it's... Yeah, it was that case of... It is that case of that this is a fast-paced game. The player interaction isn't as much, and it's because you can't play things on your opponent's turn. So my issue with Hearthstone is that it's very much a reactive game. You respond to what your opponent has played, rather than you being proactive, as like Magic is, in which you end up trying to bait your opponent in. And that's my huge problem with Hearthstone, is I can't respond to what my opponent is playing. I have to rely on keeping either staying ahead of him or reacting to what they've played. Whereas Magic, it is a case of that whole, oh right, there is that card, he's going to play this counterspell, or does he have a counterspell? And that's the big difference between them.
Such easy sport.
We'll lose that card next turn, but whatever. So that's what I've always loved about Magic. Again, Hearthstone isn't one of the best CCGs on the market. I think one of the reasons it's so popular is that it's actually jumped into the market very, very early on. And as a result, it's very, very popular because of that. But my big issue with Hearthstone, but the thing is that it's still not the reason I'd also stay actually in Hearthstone. Why I'm still playing Hearthstone. Get rid of you. Is that again? It's because I got early into it and I have an investment into it. The other is that Hearthstone has the storyline expansions that you have to pay for. Now Magic Duels also has that, but you don't have to pay for those storylines, whereas Hearthstone you do. And as a result, to me, Hearthstone is saying, hey, you got this you've bought this expansion. As a result, you end up because I've invested that money, that's what I'm looking for, because I've invested in that money, I end up feeling like I need to actually play the game. I know exactly what's going to happen here. So because I've invested money, I actually continue to play it because I feel like there's an investment. I've invested money and I want to keep doing that. That's not to say that and again, Hearthstone isn't the best CCG out there. I actually make the argument it's probably one of the worst, and its huge advantages is that it's simple. It's very, very quick to pick up, though I am frustrated when I've got things like, oh, it summons this card, which I don't know anything about, such as, your character becomes Ragnaros. That, what is his name? I've forgotten which card it is exactly, but I want to know, like, the details on what Ragnaros is. And as a result, that sort of gets in the way of me going, how on earth do I actually play this? So, yeah, again, I'm not saying Hearthstone is a bad game. I feel this is going to happen. Immunity, that's cool. So, Hearthstone isn't necessarily a bad CCG, it's just that it's lacking that player-on-player interaction. Its huge advantages, as I said before, it's fast, and that's always going to be its huge advantage, is that it's quick and easy to play. Its popularity, I think, has more come about from pro League of Legends players playing it between each of the games. So I think that's where its huge advantage and why it's become so popular. Do I think that Hearthstone is going to be. I think Hearthstone as an esport is going to be a little bit lackluster, and Total Biscuit has iterated this, and is that its huge disadvantage is that it's a game which has way too much random chance. Magic the Gathering had moved away from that random chance and focused more on like there used to be cards like Stupor where you would force your opponent to discard a card and then discard a card randomly. That randomness has gone out of Magic because it stops it from being a game about skill or mind games with your opponent, and was a game of luck. That's where I think Hearthstone needs to fix up that problem. Is it needs to find a way, if it wants to continue as a successful CCG esport, is that it's going to have to remove that random chance out of the way. At the moment, it's got the monopoly on CCG esports, but there are a few that I think could easily take it over if they become more popular. And now we're going to get on to why those games aren't popular. So the game you're looking at the moment is Spellweaver. To me, this is a game that's sort of I would put it as a cross between Magic the Gathering and Hearthstone. And it does what the other two games sort of fail at. Okay. To me, this is actually the better of both worlds. It manages to incorporate both attributes. Now let's play this. Now, so what? So it does. So when it's got that player interaction, but the player interaction is a lot more simpler. And you have a whole lot of other interesting things. So, like one of the things it does. So one of the things it does is you have these lands, like in Magic. Alright. So like Magic, you have stop. We'll knock that off. So like this, you have this interaction going on. You can sort of think about what you're going to do each turn. So you sort of think about, okay, how can I lure my opponent in? What can I do to trap my opponent? And that's what this sort of has that whole vibe going for it, I should say. There's this interesting thing, mechanic here, this wisdom section level, and where you've got to choose what you want to do with your lands. And then you've also got like, so you got the choice of okay, that's a bit of a pain. Nothing I can do. So that's where you have this whole mechanic going back and forth. Where was it? So you have these things. So with these lands, you can see here, when you play it, you either want a wisdom level or mana and card. Actually, what's my? Let's go another wisdom level. Now, the wisdom level. So there are various. There are various. What's the target? That's what I want to. There are various different. So there are various different levels, much like in Magic the Gathering, which had different mana systems. You can't do anything about that. No, like that. So there are various different. Mana bases or whatever, like Magic, but you don't have mana in the traditional sense of the word. Let's play that. Yep. In there. One of the advantages is you can actually skip your. I might end up having to lose this. So, this is actually something else I like about it that annoys me about. This is what I think like Spellweaver and Magic do this better than Hearthstone. Let me just sort of think about this for a moment. I just realised I'm in a little bit of a pickle. To remove that. Sorry, I'm just thinking about what moves I can pull off. And put it on that one. Yeah, that's not that great, unfortunately for me. I'll grab some extra mana and drop some Ancient Wisdom down. So one thing that I think get back. I'm going to. You can knock that out. So, one of the. Actually, I think I'm gonna be losing in a couple of turns anyway. So, yeah, this is one of the things I sort of. Yeah, I think I've actually lost this. I'll have another game. So, this whole player interaction business is actually quite nice. It's much more simple than Magic's, because Magic you have to figure out what are they going to block with and what are they not going to block with. Whereas this, you can like direct what you want to block and etc. Spellweaver to me is better. It's as you can see, it's a little bit faster than Magic. It's a little bit more mechanically heavy than Hearthstone, and overall I think it's slightly better than Hearthstone and Magic together. It's got the mechanics from each side that work relatively well, and that's what I enjoy about it. Its biggest problem is, what would I say its huge problem is? It's great because it has all the mechanics that are good about the game. I think one of the biggest issues I have is it's not. It's never. I'm just going to actually quickly go into the deck building here. I don't think it's popular enough, which is a shame because it'd be great. But I think one of the big issues, and maybe this is because I haven't actually played around much, is that you can. I'm not sure if you can end up mixing the aspects. That's the different allegiances. The other is, it's got these heroes. The hero ability is if yeah. Unlike Hearthstone's is virtually it's 2 mana and it does something. This has a lot more play on it, so you have a lot more interesting mechanics behind the hero ability. The whole level system versus level and mana makes it quite intriguing to play, though that does get frustrating at times. Though in mono aspect decks, I've never really had a major issue with it, but in, I suppose, multi aspect decks, it might start to become a problem. To me, this is actually what I'd love Magic Duels to be. Its biggest setback, the reason I can't get into it, is because I haven't really had anything to make me feel like I'm investing in the game. You've got all these little single player stuff going on. Again, these you can play 15 quick battles. Well, screw it. I'll just go play against the AI. It's not. On occasion, defeat Queen. It's in a PvP. That's. It doesn't. Yeah, it just doesn't have that. Doesn't really. I'm just trying to see if this. Play 3 quick battles. PvE challenge. Most of these challenges that it sets out, I almost don't feel like it's like, oh, hey, you need to go play against other people. I think it's lacking that. Yeah. This is a relatively good game. Let's free roll. I haven't really explored a heck of a lot. I played this a long time ago. Don't want to. Trials. Yeah, Trials similar to the Arena. That's actually something that I think Magic Duels has that the other games don't, is Magic Duels has the opportunity to bring out some of the other game modes, which I think they should. They got Two-Headed Giant, but no one's playing that. I remember playing Planeschaser and Duels of the Planeswalkers and Arc Enemy. Great, co-op modes that were really, really fun, or multiplayer modes that were really, really fun. And I think they've got like Conspiracy. I'd love to. Conspiracy. I'd love to see coming out in Magic Duels because I think it's got a lot of potential. And that's something that these others don't have. I think all CCGs need to bring in that. Anyway, as I said, Spellweaver I think is the better of the 3 that I've shown so far. However, I'm going to show what I think is the best one, and it's simply because it's done something different that the others have not. Alright, so this is the final game I'm going to show you for the CCGs. This is called Duelyst. Basically, this is a CCG with a tactics element to it. Now, this tactic element is something I have never seen in a CCG. And I think this is why I sort of love this game. This is why I think this is the best. And unfortunately, again, it's that one that I wish I was playing more. Ooh, what we might do. pick up that, but I'm not going to. Get rid of that. Now this is the tactics element in this is what I love, and because it suddenly creates a whole new layer. You're not just playing reactively to your opponent. You're thinking about you're thinking so many moves ahead. Again, I'd love to grab those mana spheres and actually use them properly, but I don't think I'm going to be able to. So these mana spheres sort of, and this is actually another cool thing. Nah, not really worth using it. So this is where, yeah, this is. It has so much interaction and stuff that goes on, and that's what I love. You're not just playing against your opponent, and like, okay, here's our hand, back and forth, back and forth. It's a full on. It's you're trying to create a whole set of moves all the way up. This is what I'm gonna do. Now, oh man, see, this is what it's all. This has got so much to it, and then we can go. Yeah, it's got just this interaction that I'm playing with at the moment. Is, I'm thinking not just about how I'm going to defeat my opponent. It's positioning your minions. It's brilliant. It's got that nice, lovely tactics element to it. Most of the mechanics are nice and simple. There is that element of I have had to spend time learning. It's like I have had to spend that time learning the what all the mechanics do and what all the abilities do. Ooh. I'll just go. Unfortunately, I think I'm going to be losing that, so we'll get rid of you. Yeah, you're just having to think about all these different moves. Screw it, we're going to replace something. Excellent. He's going to be an easy target, but we're going to be. Going to teleport you, and then reactivate you. So you got all these great mechanics and stuff that are going on, like, and you're really playing out some really cool combat scenes and stuff. And as a result, that's why it's quite like why I like this. Okay, CCG. I mean, my biggest criticism is that some of the generals do seem a little bit too powerful. I'm playing Songhai because I'm Songhai's not too bad, but Abyssinian is, I think, this Abyssinian, because you get two heroes for each faction, and Abyssinian, this Abyssinian, it strikes me as it's very much overpowered. Let's see, what's my next move? I've got a total of 7. you pull back. Can't use that. Hopefully we can bait some stuff out with that, because that's quite a bit of a terrifying thing to face. Oh, I forgot to move the golem. That was my bad. I mean, this... Yeah, I consider this the best. Again, you know, simple mana use. It's like you get to cycle cards you don't want. It's... yeah. So he's just blowing a whole lot of his minions to get rid of that. So unfortunately I'm falling behind quite a bit. I'm not sure how I'm gonna come back from this. So yeah, I mean, there's so much. It does feel like there's a lot you can do in this game. Yeah, I was just thinking about I'm planning out. It's like, okay, how do I do this move? I have to take a bit of damage, but I think I've got quite a few, just enough on the board to finish them off. So I mean, this is, you know, this is what it's all about. I think there are a few factions that do feel a little bit overpowered at the moment. Particular Abyssinian, because minions on the board seems to be the way to go. Actually, I can still win that quite easily. Do is we'll just stick you down. So yeah, you got, you know, it does sort of, you're planning this all out. You've got to, I mean, I was playing quite reactively, but the voiceover, I mean, the art style is quite lovely. Even the pixel art's really cool. So I mean, this is actually probably my favourite. And the reason is that it's done something I think other CCGs haven't, and it's really given that opportunity. And the sad thing is this is I'm currently playing a little bit of it, but it's probably going to be put aside. And the reason is because I just don't have time. And this comes down to a big problem in the video game market overall, is most of the best games are failing not because they're bad, but they can't compete. Like, this game I don't think is going to be able to compete, and I love it. And I just see this being dead in the water in a few years because it's not going to be able to keep up. We've seen this with so many MOBAs and MMOs and first-person shooters, and even the free-to-play market isn't keeping these games alive. And again, it's the whole issue of that I haven't really got any major investment in this game. My investment, this is like all the other CCGs that we've shown, all the CCGs I've shown you are free to play, and all of them, and the first two, Magic the Gathering, I was invested back in Scourge. I started getting invested into the game. Hearthstone, I'm invested because of the storyline. Spellweaver has, you know, yeah, it's just I'm just not getting invested in these games, and it's sad. It's sad that I won't be invested in Duelyst, even though I think it's the best. But I'm not going to hold my breath out and say that's my final decision on that. I may end up turning around and continue playing this in the future. I mean, I might scrap Hearthstone and focus on Duelist because I prefer Duelist to it. And the factions are smaller. You've got more options available to you. This is a fantastic game, and I wish I was playing more of it. Alright, I'm going to wrap it up there. You've heard what I have to say about these CCGs, and what I love about them, what I dislike about them. No, the CCG market is becoming a little bit flooded. Because of its flooding, I'm not going to be playing Gwent or Elder Scroll Legends, simply because there are already too many of these games out, and I'm having too much fun playing. I'm too invested in Magic the Gathering or Magic Duels. If I do put down Hearthstone, I'm going to pick up Duelyst because Duelyst is better, and I'd rather play Spellweaver over. If I put down Magic, I'll probably pick up Spellweaver and start playing that more often. Actually, you know what? In the comments below, if you're watching this, and let me know in the comments, would you like to see me pick up these Spellweaver or Duelyst? And thinking of some really cool stuff to show you guys and coming up with some cool strategies and stuff. That might be the way to go. Let me know in the comments below. Can't guarantee you're going to end up seeing any content for those in the next 6 months. But if I get people saying that they'd rather see this stuff than Magic or Hearthstone, something new, I'll probably actually start doing it if people are interested in seeing more of this stuff. Let me know in the comments below. I'd be really, really keen to see what people have to say about this. Anyway, you guys know the drill. Like, dislike, just subscribe, whatever. I don't really care if you do or don't. Catch you all later.